In the Saudi desert, something extraordinary is happening. Not the construction that was promised, the cancellations. NEOM, Saudi Arabia's $500 billion vision for the future, is being quietly dismantled around its edges. In March 2026, WeBuild's $3.2 billion contract for the Trojena Dam was canceled. Eversendai's $1.34 billion steel contract for the Trojena Ski Village followed. Tunnel contracts worth approximately $1 billion for the line were terminated. A Saudi government strategic review conducted in mid-2025 led to what insiders describe as a systematic contraction of non-core NEOM projects. The line, a 170-kilometer mirrored skyscraper city originally designed to house 9 million people, is being scaled back in practice while being defended in public. Officially, NEOM's chief development officer confirmed at Davos in early April 2026 that 3 modules are underway, housing between 200,000 and 250,000 people in the first phase, with the long-term 9 million target still publicly maintained. But a Financial Times investigation citing people briefed on an internal review claims the project is being radically redesigned. Bloomberg's reporting suggests the 2030 target has been quietly revised to 300,000 residents, with only 2.4 kilometers of the line actually completed. The truth lies somewhere between the official optimism and the leaked skepticism. What is clear is this: billions in contracts canceled, workforce reduced, deadlines slipping. The mega project that Saudi Arabia promised would redefine human civilization is, in 2026, being carefully managed rather than aggressively built. Because what happens here could reshape one of the world's most important trade routes. And the world is barely paying attention. But while one vision is shrinking, another is quietly accelerating. On the northwestern coast of Saudi Arabia, an estimated $20 billion port is rising from the Red Sea. It is called Oxagon, and unlike the line, it is actually being built on schedule. Here is what Saudi Arabia has constructed, and why it matters regardless of what happens to NEOM. Oxagon begins with a defining feature unlike any port ever built. At its heart is the world's largest floating structure, an octagonal industrial platform extending directly into the Red Sea. The design preserves 95% of the natural coastal environment, while creating a deep water port without extensive land reclamation. It is, quite literally, a floating machine, and the numbers behind it are verified. In November 2025, BZX completed more than 4.6 kilometers of quay wall. 7 deepwater berths have been finished, ranging from 10.5 to 18.5 meters in depth, capable of handling the largest container ships currently operating in global trade. In March 2026, Boskalis completed a major dredging project, deepening and widening the main access channel. A 900-meter automated container terminal is under construction and expected to open in 2026. The port is designed with a capacity of 1.5 million TEU, modest compared to Jebel Ali's 14 million, or Singapore's Tuas port being built for 65 million. But for a brand new port built where no container infrastructure previously existed, it is a credible and functional starting point. The port is already open for business, welcoming international shipping lines and managing cargo essential to NEOM's construction and early operations. But the most important question about Oxagon is not whether the infrastructure works. It is who is actually showing up to use it. The script that critics write about Oxagon is one of an empty port waiting for customers. That script is becoming harder to defend. The world's largest green hydrogen plant, a $5 billion joint venture between Air Products, Axwa Power, and NEOM, is being built at Oxagon. Gulf Modular International is constructing the world's largest modular building factory here, capable of producing 12,500 building units per year. The region's largest hyperscale data center, a joint venture between FAS Energy and NEOM, is also planned for the Oxagon Industrial Zone. These are not speculative announcements. Ground has been broken. Saudi Arabia is also pivoting its NEOM strategy away from luxury tourism megaprojects like the Line and toward industrial and AI data center hubs that are more commercially viable. Oxagon fits that pivot perfectly. Oxagon is not a port in search of a purpose. It is a port with a growing industrial base, aligned with where Saudi Arabia's ambitions are actually heading. To understand the stakes around Oxagon, you need to understand the corridor it sits within. The Red Sea is one of the most important shipping lanes on Earth. More than 10% of all global trade flows through here every year. Ships moving between Europe and Asia through the Suez Canal, down the Red Sea, and into the Indian Ocean. For decades, Saudi Arabia watched those ships pass its coastline without capturing meaningful economic value. Oxagon is Saudi Arabia's answer to that century of missed opportunity. By positioning a world-class port at the crossroads of Europe-Asia shipping, Saudi Arabia wants to turn a transit corridor into a destination. Manufacturers attracted by logistics infrastructure and proximity to global shipping lanes. Raw materials arriving by ship, transformed into finished products, exported in both directions. It is the same strategy that turned Dubai's Jebel Ali into the dominant port of the Middle East. Dubai offered tax-free zones, reliable infrastructure, and political stability. Thousands of international companies came. Saudi Arabia is attempting to replicate that playbook at larger scale. But there is a problem Dubai never faced at this intensity. The Red Sea has not stabilized. Throughout 2023 and 2024, Houthi attacks forced hundreds of shipping companies to abandon this corridor entirely, rerouting vessels around the Cape of Good Hope at enormous cost. Insurance premiums spiked. Major carriers, Maersk, MSC, Hapag-Lloyd, diverted away from the Suez route for months. A ceasefire in Gaza brought a temporary lull. But by March 2026, the Houthis resumed missile launches against Israel. And in April 2026 alone, at least 7 commercial vessels have been attacked in the southern Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. A Greek ship was hit by 3 ballistic missiles and 3 drone strikes simultaneously. A Chinese-owned tanker was struck by a missile and caught fire, despite Beijing's diplomatic ties with Tehran. The Red Sea corridor, once Oxagon's greatest strategic advantage, remains an active conflict zone. For a port whose entire business model depends on being the natural stop for ships moving through this corridor, that is not an inconvenience. It is an existential problem. If this fails, it won't just affect Saudi Arabia. It will shape how goods move between Europe and Asia. Shipping companies do not make long-term infrastructure commitments in corridors where their vessels are being hit by missiles. Saudi Arabia has committed an estimated $20 billion to Oxagon. The key walls are built, the dredging is done, the industrial tenants are breaking ground, the cranes are running. There is no walking away from this, which means the question is no longer whether to build Oxagon. The question is whether the conditions that justify it will materialize. Whether the Line, in whatever scaled-back form it ultimately takes, generates enough manufacturing demand to anchor the port's business case. Whether the Red Sea stabilizes enough for global shipping companies to make the long-term commitments Oxagon needs. Whether Saudi Arabia's pivot toward industrial and AI hubs creates enough organic demand to replace the population and consumer economy that NEOM's original vision was supposed to provide. We return to where we started. NEOM's official vision remains intact, publicly. The leaked reports suggest something far smaller. Billions in contracts have been canceled. The truth is still being written. But Oxagon is not waiting for that truth. 4.6 kilometers of quay wall, 7 deep-water berths, a floating industrial platform unlike anything built before, green hydrogen, modular factories, data centers, initial cargo operations already underway. Saudi Arabia has built something real and genuinely ambitious in a place that needed it. But every port in history has faced the same fundamental test. Ports don't fail because they aren't built. They fail because no one comes. You can build the infrastructure. You cannot build the demand. Jebel Ali succeeded because Dubai became a city the world wanted to do business with. Oxagon will succeed or fail on 3 questions it cannot answer itself. Will the Red Sea stop being a war zone? Will the line find its purpose, in whatever form it takes? Will global supply chains shift toward this coast? The cranes are running, the tenants are arriving, the missiles are still falling, and Saudi Arabia waits to find out if the world agrees it was worth it. We cover the infrastructure the world depends on, and the bets that may or may not pay off, every week on the channel